In the riverside kingdom of Oluoma, where the water ran green and silver, and the moonlight danced on its surface like 1,000 fireflies, there lived a young woman, known for her calm beauty. Her laughter was soft like palm wine poured gently into a calabash. Her eyes held loyalty, the kind elders prayed their daughters will carry. Her name was Adaora, and she gave her heart, every last piece of it, to a man who did not deserve a single drop. Adaora was the kind of woman that men write songs about and then forget to deserve. She was not loud, she was not desperate. She moved through Oluoma like the river moved, quietly, steadily, and with a depth that most people only notice when they were already standing in the middle of it. When she laughed, it was the kind of laugh that made strangers turn around. When she spoke, even the elders leaned in. Men had come to her father's compound. Good men with farms and cattle and honest hands. Men who would have loved her the way a man is supposed to love a woman. Openly, completely, and without shame. She sent them all away because of Ikenna. Ikenna was not from Oluoma. He came from a village 3 rivers away, the son of a trader, and he had arrived in Oluoma one dry season with a smooth tongue and eyes that knew how to look at a woman like she was the only thing worth looking at in the whole world. He found Adaora at the market. He came back the next day, and the day after that. He told her she was different. He told her she was the kind of woman a man builds his life around. He told her that when he looked at her, he saw his future, his home, his children, his reason. Adaora was not a foolish girl, but love has a way of making wise people lower their guard. She believed him. She believed him when he held her hands by the riverside and said, "There is no other woman, Adaora. There has never been another woman, and there will never be another woman." She believed him when suitors came knocking, and she turned them away one by one, telling her father, "My heart is spoken for." She believed him through 2 dry seasons and 2 rainy seasons, 4 years of waiting, 4 years of trusting, 4 years of building a future in her mind brick by careful brick. And then one morning, Ikenna came to her with a wide smile and bright eyes. "Adaora," he said, taking her hands, "I am going home. I'm going to tell my parents that you're the one that I have chosen. I will come back with my people and we will do this the proper way. You will be my bride before the next harvest." Adaora's heart, that big, faithful, patient heart, nearly burst from her chest. She watched him gather his things. She stood at the edge of the compound and watched him walk away down the red path that led to the river crossing. He turned once and waved. She waved back. Then she ran like a child to the compound of her best friend Chisom. "He's going," she said, breathless and laughing. "He's going to tell his parents, Chisom. He's coming back for me." Chisom smiled. They danced in the dust like children. 3 days passed. On the 4th morning, a trader arrived in Oluoma from the road that passed through Ikenna's village. He stopped at the palm wine stall near the river and sat down heavy with travel dust and news. Chisom was nearby buying pepper. She had the trader mention a name. She went very still. She moved closer, pretending to inspect her pepper, and she listened. The trader was telling anyone who would hear about the great wedding in Ikenna's village, the biggest celebration they had seen in years. The groom was the son of the merchant of Kafo, a young man, handsome, well-traveled. He had come home and married a woman from his own village. They say he had been promising some girl elsewhere. The trader laughed. But the man always comes to his own kind. The pepper fell from Chisom's hand. She stood there in the middle of the market, the noise of Oluoma going on around her, and she felt the weight of what she now had to carry to her friend's door. She walked slowly, the way you walk when you are in no hurry to break someone's world. She found Adaora at home, humming, weaving a new wrapper, the colors she had chosen because Ikenna once said they looked beautiful on her. Adora, Chisom said. Something in her voice made Adora put down the weaving. Chisom, what is it? Oh. Chisom sat beside her. She took her hands. She told her everything. Slowly, carefully, the way you pour hot water, and still it burned. The humming stopped. The wrapper fell. Adora did not scream. She did not cry. Not at first, of course. She just sat very still, the way the river sits still before a flood. And she stared at the wall of her hut like she was reading something written there that no one else could see. Then the tears came, slow at first, then everything at once. She cried for the suitors she had turned away. She cried for the 4 years she had spent building a house in the air. She cried for the girl she had been, standing at the edge of the compound, waving, smiling, believing. She cried until she had nothing left. Chisom held her and said nothing, because some pain needs to be sat with before it can be walked away from. A full season passed. Adora moved through it like a woman learning to walk again after a wound. Slowly, carefully. Some days better than others. She went back to the market. She laughed again, although not the same laugh, but a laugh nonetheless. She helped her mother cook. She let Chisom plait her hair. She watched the river in the evenings and let it talk to her the way rivers talk to people who are patient enough to listen. She did not speak of Ikenna. She did not speak of marriage. When her father gently mentioned that suitors were still acting, she smiled and said, "Not yet, father, not yet." Then came the night of the Iriji festival, the great New Yam celebration of Oluoma, when the whole kingdom gathered at the riverside and the moonlight dances began at dusk and ran until the river itself seemed to join in. Chisom came to Adora's door that evening with a wrapper the color of river water and fire. "Come, let us attend the festival," she said. "Chisom, I don't." "Adora." Chisom looked at her steadily. "You have sat with this long enough. Come and breathe. You will not die for a man who is dancing somewhere else," Chisom said firmly. Adora looked at her friend for a very long moment. Chisom braided her hair, lined her eyes with kohl, and wrapped her in deep blue cloth that shimmered under moonlight. She told herself she would stay for just one dance, then she would go home. She had never attended before, so she didn't even know what to expect. At the festival, drums thundered, torches flickered, maidens danced in circles before the king. But that night, she stepped into the circle, and the king saw her. The king of Oluoma did not attend the moonlight dances every year. He was a quiet man, not cold, but contained, the way deep water is contained. He had responsibilities that kept him close to his council and his people's troubles, but something had drawn him to the riverbank that night. He would say later that he did not know what it was. He saw Adora from across the dancing ground. She was not performing. She was not trying to be still. She was not trying to be seen. She stood at the edge of the firelight with her wrapper, catching the river breeze, and her eyes on the water, somewhere between here and somewhere else. And there was something about her that just made everything else so quiet. The king of Oluoma, Eze Tobenna, was a man who had seen many women dance, but none had stilled his breath until Adora. The king leaned forward. "Who is she?" he asked around until he got word of her father's compound. Eze Tobenna was not a man who moved carelessly. He came to Adora's father's compound the following day in the proper way, with wine, with elders, and with respect. He sat across from her father and spoke plainly. The father explained everything about what his daughter had suffered, and he understood perfectly and promised not to rush her. He came back a second time, a third, and even a fourth time. He kept to his words and did not rush her. He did not perform. He just simply showed up every time, the same way, steady as a river. Adora watched him carefully, the way a woman watches when she has already been burned once and is not in the business of standing near fire carelessly. She asked him hard questions, He answered them without flinching. She was quiet with him sometimes, testing whether silence made him break or uncomfortable. It did not. He sat in a silence like a man who had nowhere else to be. The morning she said yes, she told Chisom first. Chisom wept before Adaora did. The wedding of Eze Tobenna and Adaora was the greatest celebration Oluoma had seen in a generation. The rivers seemed to run brighter that week. The women danced from morning until the stars came out. Adaora's mother could not stop smiling for 7 days. And Adaora, standing before her kingdom in a wrapper the color of river water and gold, beside a man who had pursued her like she was worth pursuing, felt something old and broken inside her quietly finish healing. She became Lolo Adaora, Queen of Oluoma. Meanwhile, in the village of Umuofe was Ikenna, who was married to his new bride called Ngbafo. Ngbafo was not what Ikenna had expected. She was beautiful, but her beauty was sharp like a thorn, the kind of beauty that announces itself before it enters a room. But beauty is not character, and character, as Ikenna discovered, is the thing that you can actually live with. Ngbafo had married him for just one thing: his father's wealth. She had seen the merchant's compound, calculated its value, and smiled her way through courtship with the precision of a hunter. On the wedding night, she bolted her door. Ikenna stood outside his own wife's room, knocking like a stranger. Ngbafo! Silence. He told himself it was just shyness, but it was not shyness. By the third day, he understood that this was simply how things were going to be. Ngbafo rose late, ate the best of everything, wore the finest clothes, and treated Ikenna with the particular contempt of a woman who has gotten what she came for and no longer needs to pretend. She controlled the food when Ikenna displeased her, which was often because breathing seemed to displease her. She simply did not cook. He went to bed hungry. He had left a woman who would have fed him with her last grain and married a woman who watched him go hungry and slept peacefully. When he raised his voice, Ngbafo raised her hands. The neighbors heard things coming from that compound that made them shake their heads. His father's wealth began to move, slowly at first. A piece of jewelry here, a trade debt for giving there, then faster. Ngbafo had a way of redirecting resources that even experienced traders would have admired if it was not so devastating to witness. Ikenna grew thin. Ikenna grew quiet. Ikenna, the man with the smooth tongue and the bright eyes and all the beautiful words, sat in his own compound one evening, hungry and diminished, and thought about a girl by the riverside who had waved at him from the edge of a compound with a whole heart in her eyes. He wept. Then he did what a man like Ikenna does when he has nothing left. He ran. He arrived in Oluoma on a Tuesday, travel-worn, thin as a dry season branch, his fine clothes hanging off him like they belonged to a bigger man. He went to Adaora's father's compound first, not knowing. Her father looked at him for a long time. "She does not live here anymore," he said. "Where?" Her father pointed towards the palace. The color left Ikenna's face slowly, like water draining from a pot. He stood outside the palace gates of Eze Tobenna and asked to see Adaora. The guards looked at him, then at each other. Word was sent inside. Adaora was in the inner courtyard with Chisom when the message reached her. She read it once, then she handed it over to Chisom. Chisom read it and fled up in anger. She raged, "How dare that fool shows his face here?" Adaora was quiet. She calmed her now raging friend. Looked at the courtyard around her, the palace her husband had opened to her, the life she had rebuilt from the wreckage of a broken promise. She thought about the girl who had sat very still and stared at the wall and wept until she had nothing left. She stood up. "Let him in." They brought Ikenna to the outer courtyard and left him standing there. He waited. When Adaora appeared, he almost did not recognize her. Not because she had changed, but because everything around her had changed. She walked like a woman who had been reminded of her own worth, and had decided never to forget it again. She stood before him and waited. Ikenna looked at her. He looked at the palace walls. He He looked at his own thin hands. Then he lowered himself. This man, with his smooth tongue and his bright promises, he lowered himself to the knees in the dirt of the outer courtyard, and he begged. He told her everything: Ngbafo, the hunger, the humiliation, the locked door, the missing wealth. He told her he had made the worst mistake a man can ever make, trading something real for something that only looked real. So the bed you made has thorns, she said. Adaora, he said, his voice breaking on her name. I am nothing without you. Come back to me. I will do anything, please. Adaora looked at him on his knees for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was calm, not cold, just calm. The way the river is calm after a storm has finished. Ikenna, she said, I waited for you. I turned away good men for you. I built my whole future around your word, and your word was sand. He opened his mouth. She raised one hand, gently but firmly. I prayed for a long time that you would come back. Then I stopped praying for that and started to pray for peace. And peace came. It came in ways that I did not expect. She looked at him, really looked at him. The way you look at something you once treasured and have finally made your peace with losing. I forgive you, Ikenna. Truly. But forgiveness is not a door. You cannot just walk back through it into my life. She turned to a palace messenger. Escort him safely back to his wife. Ikenna's eyes widened. No, do not send me back. But Adaora leaned closer and whispered so only he could hear. You chose her. Let your choice choose you. She walked back into the palace. She did not look back. Chisom, standing quietly at the edge of the courtyard, was happy at her queen's verdict. She watched Ikenna pick himself up from the ground. She watched him dust off his knees. She watched him walk back through the palace gates, back into the world that he had chosen. Then she followed her queen inside. Ikenna went back to his village with nothing. Ngbafo eventually took what remained and disappeared like morning mist. And Adaora, patient, faithful, broken-hearted Adaora, became the queen that Oluoma still talks about to this day, who ruled beside her king with the strength of a woman who had been tested by fire and come out not bitter but refined. That is why the elders of Oluoma say, do not throw away gold while chasing glitter. A promise broken will return as a lesson. When you spit on loyalty, do not be surprised when destiny closes its door. For the heart you betray today may sit on a throne tomorrow, and a foolish choice once made will not wait for you. A man who throws away river water to chase rain will one day die of thirst. Do not lose the gold in front of you, trying to chase down glitters far ahead. That is the story of Adaora, the girl who the river remembered when the man she loved forgot her. If you like this story, please leave a comment on what your take-home lesson was or what you think or expected to have happened instead. And please subscribe to this channel for more interesting revenge folk tales. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.